Bonjour and welcome to La French Tech on Air, our European video podcast series on business and technology. My name is Nicolas Rabrenovic and I'm the president of the French Tech Belgrade in Serbia. I will be your host and moderator for today, and we'll talk especially about the Romanian startup ecosystem. Please welcome Grégoire Vigroux, the president of French Tech Bucharest.
Bonjour and thank you so much for the invitation. Thank you.
You're welcome. So today, Greg, we would like to talk with you about different topics. The first one is about Romania. Could you maybe describe a bit the Romanian ecosystem and why it's such a great country related to the tech world?
Romania is the most underrated, probably the most underrated country in Europe when it comes to business in general and when it comes to tech startups specifically. There is a big wrong perception about Romania. Some people might associate Romania with the land of Dracula, with the fact that the country had a communist past. Some people would think of Ceausescu, the dictator. And some other people might think that Romania is a land where you have horse-drawn cars on the roads. Of course, this image belongs to a different age. This is 2022. Romania is a very modern country that fully embraces modernization and digitalization. And lots of things have been happening in the country. Lots of international companies have developed IT services, have shared service centers, development center in Romania, and also Romania managed to have some amazing startups that you might possibly ask me a bit about a bit later.
Recently, we had this IPO of this company called UiPath. I think, if I'm not mistaken, they did a huge IPO of about $35 billion USD. So this really brings some light on the Romanian ecosystem. Can you tell us what's happening right now in the Bucharest, but also more globally in the Romanian startup ecosystem, especially?
I think that in life, including for businesses, you need to have role models. And in the world of tech startups in Romania, there is a role model. There is an amazing company that you just mentioned, UiPath. Company created 10 years ago in a small apartment in Bucharest that, as you mentioned, is now listed at NASDAQ. At one point, they even had a valuation of $40 billion. It's a big number if you consider that even France, that is a very interesting startup scene. The biggest unicorns in France, their valuation is $5 billion USD. So keep in mind that one Romanian company, Romanian startup, had a valuation of $40 billion USD. So yes, this is really a role model for lots of Romanian entrepreneurs who say, look, if this guy, Daniel Dines, the founder of UiPath, this Romanian guy, managed to build a company that is worth $40 billion, why not me? So this is a very important thing for the entire ecosystem. It has become a role model, an example to follow. And for the moment, this is the only Romanian unicorn. It's actually a decacorn. But very soon, in a few months, 1 to 2 Romanian startups are about to join the category of Romanian unicorns, and I hope many more to come in the next few years.
Interesting. But what will you define as the, let's say, secret recipe, or let's say the reason why Romanian startup ecosystem is booming?
Well, first of all, Romania is a country of roughly 18 million inhabitants. And if you are looking at the number of IT engineers and scientists, the number is more than 500,000. So the number of IT engineers and scientists per capita in Romania is actually bigger than any other country, including India, China, and of course France, Germany, and the USA. So I think that there is a very, very strong technical knowledge, which is due to the fact that there are very good universities for engineers in Romania. I would also highlight the fact that kids at school, or even in the very, very early classes, they have a strong focus on learning mathematics, right? This is for different reasons, historical reasons. So you end up in an environment where you can find some very, very good engineers. And of course, in the world of tech startups, it's important to have super IT guys. So I think that this is basically the magic sauce. This is the magic recipe of Romanian tech startup. The fact that there are very, very, very strong people. I would say that unfortunately there is no business school and there is no MBA, or just a couple of small MBAs, but there should be more MBAs and definitely some business schools in Romania. This is something that we are really missing, you know. So you can have the best IT folks in Romania. You need also to train and to have on the labor market those kind of entrepreneurs that know how to build a business, how to run a business. And definitely the day when Romania will be able to provide more people with this kind of background, I think that we will see even more successful startups than today.
So, as I understand, there is a lot of great engineers and scientists in Romania, but for a country or an ecosystem to be so successful, I think it also requires funding and also political support. Can you give us your thought about that?
Yeah, so I believe that to be successful, a startup definitely needs to rely on founders that have complementary backgrounds. You need indeed some people who are very strong in IT, but you also need to have people who manage very well, who understand the world of sales, communications, and they should be able to talk to investors. They should be able to talk to clients. They should be able to convince. And this is maybe some room for improvement for Romanian entrepreneurs. You know, I don't believe in pure tech companies with techies. I mean, these kind of people, they need to be supported by people with a complementary background. That was actually my point.
Can you tell me more about the, let's say, VC world, entrepreneurs, but are they also like the one who did an exit? Are they also reinvesting in the ecosystem? Do we see the emergence of business angel networks?
It's an interesting question indeed, because on top of the fact that there are more and more Romanians that are willing to become entrepreneurs instead of choosing another path, which would be the corporate path. Having in mind that, you know, in Romania, there are lots of big corporations that do IT outsourcing and BPO. So more and more entrepreneurs do not decide to go and work for Oracle. For example, Oracle employs 5,000 people in Romania, but they would decide to go and follow their own entrepreneurial path. So this is really something which is important. But on top of that, and to your point, indeed, there are also lots of new investors. First of all, business angels. 10 years ago in Romania, there was no business angel at all, or maybe a few, but even the concept of business angel was not very much known in Romania. Now you have lots of business angels. You even have clubs of business angels, people gathering, joining forces to invest in startups. You also have a very interesting crowdfunding platform dedicated to startup for Southeastern Europe, which is a Romanian one named Seedblink. And you also have those VCs. And actually lots of European money is poured into the Romanian VCs so that they can invest in the ecosystem. I think this is very smart from the European Bank of Investment. The fact that, you know, they want to support some startup ecosystems in Southeastern Europe, but they don't know in which startup to invest. So what they do is that they invest in VCs and they trust the VCs to invest in the most successful startups. So with this European money, the capabilities of investment of Romanian VCs is now much bigger. So it's the perfect timing, right? Bigger VCs and more entrepreneurs on the market. And as we mentioned earlier, also a role model to follow, which is UiPath.
As if I'm not mistaken, you're also an entrepreneur yourself. How were you welcome in Romania?
So I think that Romanians are people who are extremely open-minded, especially when you come from a country like France. So really, there was no cultural shock when I came to Romania in 2006. Launching my first business in Romania in 2007 was extremely easy. Again, there is a strong cultural proximity between French people and Romanian people. First of all, our languages are pretty similar. But, you know, culturally speaking, we can understand to each other, right? Romania tends to be this island of Latinity in a Slavic ocean, you know. So yes, as a French, it has been very easy for me to adapt, to grow my businesses. So I'm in Romania since 2006. My first business was in 2007. And today I'm involved in 21 businesses, either as a co-founder or as an angel investor. And yes, most of my businesses are in Romania because it's definitely, I believe, the place to be when you are an ambitious start entrepreneur like me.
Great. And can you tell us maybe about your next projects? You're involved in 21 companies. That's incredible. Where do you see maybe yourself in 5-10 years from now?
So I'm 42 years old, and even though I had already 4 successful exits, I need to say that I didn't build a unicorn yet. So being 42 years old, by the time I'm 50 years old, so in 8 years, my objective, my ambition, my plan is to build a unicorn.
Great. If you could give maybe a few advices to, let's say, a French entrepreneur who is very interested in the Romanian market, what would you say?
I think that for a French entrepreneur, launching in Romania is the best option because it's a very nice point of entry for other countries in the region afterwards. Because of this cultural proximity that I was talking about earlier, because there are lots of French people doing business in Romania, France is actually one of the largest foreign investors in Romania. Whatever industry you're looking at, whatever vertical you are looking at, you see French companies all across. The largest telco is French. One of the largest banks is French. The largest company in Romania, which accounts for 4% of the GDP, is French. It's Renault Dacia. So it's easy to do business in Romania when you are a startup entrepreneur from France because you are surrounded by SMEs, French SMEs, but also by a big corporation. And us, the French, we are a tight community. We are supporting to each other. And Romania is definitely a good entry point. And if your first business goes well in Romania, then you can quickly expand to other countries in the region. This is what I do. I always launch my new businesses in Romania. Then I expand to Bulgaria, Hungary, Greece, Moldova, etc.
And who should they contact? Should they contact you? Should they contact French Tech in Paris or directly in Bucharest?
Contact me or anyone else from La French Tech Bucharest. Any entrepreneur interested in Romania, planning a trip to Romania or even willing to have some basic information about Romania, we are here to support them. The idea is that we are volunteers, right? We are just dedicating some time, some energy, some efforts to support fellow entrepreneurs. French entrepreneurs willing to do business in Romania or Romanian entrepreneurs willing to do business in France. Basically, what is our role with La French Tech in Romania is to be a bridge, a connector between both tech ecosystems.
Great. We are going to be close to the end of our interview. There is one more topic maybe you would like to discuss today.
Good question. Yes, I think that for the people who are entrepreneur wannabes, there is always this question in some people working in SMEs or many of them in big corporations. Should I try to become an entrepreneur? Should I launch a business? I always say, it's hard, launching a startup is really Squid Game because when you are looking at the statistics, 70 to 90% of the tech startups in Europe will not survive after 4 to 5 years. So it's a very difficult exercise. Failure rate is big, but it's such a beautiful, exciting experience. So even though it's hard, even though it's a risky exercise, for all the entrepreneur wannabes that are listening to us right now, I think that you definitely want to try it. And you might say, oh, it's not the right time, but it's never the right time to launch a startup. It's true that if you don't have kids yet and you are maybe not married and you are still having some more freedom, is even better than if you don't. But yes, I'm a natural born entrepreneur myself. I think I was born to be an entrepreneur. So whenever I can evangelize about entrepreneurship, I do it. And really happy to continue this conversation with the people who might have questions about this or who might want to talk about this with me. I can be contacted on LinkedIn anytime. Thank you.
Well, Greg, I think you may have created some vocations today. Thank you very much for being with us. I hope you enjoyed the conversation we had with Grégoire. the president of the French Tech in Bucharest. The session is available on video on YouTube and audio only on all the global podcast platforms. Follow us on LinkedIn and YouTube to be updated. Thank you. À bientôt.